This video is going to talk about the theory of evolution. This theory explains how modern organisms evolved from ancestors over long periods of time. And then this is one of those big things. Evolution believes that the Earth has been around for significantly long periods of time. And so organisms change over time, and the ultimate source of all of this change are mutations. Mutations are going to be variations that exist in populations. And of course, we know that mutations will be changes in the DNA sequence. Some mutations ultimately become more prevalent, so more abundant is another word for that, if they improve an organism's fitness. And so let's talk about fitness for a second. This is something that Darwin discussed a lot. Fitness is not necessarily, and I know you hear this survival of the fittest idea probably a lot, but fitness is not necessarily, who can run the fastest or lift the most weight. It might be that, but it isn't always. Fitness is merely the ability for an organism to reproduce and create viable offspring. So if organism A ends up finding a mate and making babies, and organism B does not, A has more fitness biologically than organism B. Or if both organisms find a mate and make babies, if organism A creates babies that are awesome and survive to create lots of their own babies, and organisms B babies don't really do that so much, again, organism A is more fit. And it's the traits that allow them to become more fit and have those viable offspring which makes them fit. Viable offspring, what that word means, viable offspring are offspring that live to maturity that can then reproduce themselves. So fitness is how well did you make children and how well do your children make more children. And so mutations that become prevalent in a population because they improve an organism's fitness are then called adaptations. And so we've heard this word before. A couple types of adaptations that you might be familiar with. You can have physical adaptations, things like color, eyesight, defense mechanisms, like quills or something. Speed, agility, those sorts of things are going to be physical adaptations. You can also have behavioral adaptations, hunting behavior that allows you to catch more prey. Grouping of organisms in sort of a herd or pack versus being solitary. Those sorts of are sort of group behaviors. Altruism, when you think of altruism, you should be thinking of being sort of selfless, doing something nice for others. That is a behavioral adaptation.